I was told my room would be ready when I got out of the hospital. Instead, I came home on crutches and found my clothes in trash bags. My father-in-law said we needed the space for real family. My husband just looked away. I just nodded, okay. That night, I left with one bag. And the next morning, they woke up to silence and a missing title on the house deed. My name is Jordan. I'm 37 years old and I live, or used to live, in Hendersonville, North Carolina. I married Drew 7 years ago. I was 29. He was 35 and already had a tight-knit family that all lived within 20 miles of each other. I was from upstate New York, no real family left, just a cousin I talked to once every few months. When we got married, I didn't think much about how close Drew was to his parents. At first, I liked it. Sunday dinners, cookouts, help with fixing things around the house. They were loud, opinionated people, but they always smiled. I thought they accepted me. That was until I got sick. Last December, I was in a car accident that shattered my hip and lower leg. I was on my way to a Christmas volunteer event when a drunk teenager blew through a red light and T-boned my car. I woke up 2 days later in the hospital. Drew wasn't there when I woke up. It was his sister, Clara. She smiled and told me Drew had to work and not to worry. But she didn't look me in the eye. After the surgery, I had 3 months of recovery ahead of me. Drew came to see me maybe once a week, twice if I was lucky. He brought coffee, asked if I needed anything, but he never stayed long. I chalked it up to stress, his job, and I didn't want to believe anything was wrong. 3 weeks before my release, he called and told me they were renovating our bedroom to make it more accessible for my crutches and eventually a wheelchair, if I needed it. He said his dad and brother were helping. I cried, overwhelmed with relief. I had somewhere safe to come home to. The discharge day came. I remember it vividly. It was March 3rd, cold, wet morning. A nurse helped me into the car. Drew pulled up late and barely got out of the vehicle. No kiss, no hug, just popped the trunk from my bag. I didn't even make it to the door before I knew something was wrong. There was a new car in the driveway. Clara's. She had 2 kids and a recent divorce. I limped up the porch and noticed toys scattered along the steps. Inside, everything was different. New furniture. My favorite recliner was gone. There was a playpen where the coffee table used to be. Drew's mom was in the kitchen, humming. Then I saw it, my clothes, my belongings, in black trash bags, stuffed into the hallway. My mouth went dry. What is this? I asked. His father came around the corner, leaned against the wall with crossed arms. We needed the space for a real family, he said, voice flat. I turned to Drew. He didn't say a word, just looked down at the floor like a damn coward. Nobody helped me stand. Nobody offered a chair. I leaned against the wall, hips screaming, and just nodded. Okay. That night I left. Took one duffel bag, my purse, and the crutches. I stayed at a motel near Asheville. I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. I didn't even feel surprised. I just felt empty. They thought they'd won. They didn't know the house wasn't in Drew's name. I bought that house before we got married. I had worked 2 jobs in my 20s, saved every dollar. It was small, just outside Hendersonville, but it was mine, paid off with my own money. Before we got married, I had Drew sign a prenup because even though I loved him, I wasn't stupid. He had debt. I didn't. My lawyer suggested adding a clause that the house would remain in my name unless kids were involved. Drew signed without even reading it. 2 years into our marriage, I added his name to the utility bills to make things easier. That was his version of contributing. But I never added him to the deed. He didn't ask, and I didn't offer. So when I left that night, I didn't go far. I went to stay with a woman I used to work with, Lena, who had just lost her mom and had a guest room with no stairs. The next morning, I contacted my lawyer. We drew up a notice of eviction with a 30-day deadline. Legally clean. I still own the house, 100%. No tenants' rights applied. Drew never paid rent, never signed a lease. I didn't even send the notice myself. I had it delivered by a process server while they were eating dinner on the porch. Clara screamed. Drew tried to call me. I didn't answer. His mother left me a voicemail calling me a bitter, broken woman. His dad texted me once, "You won't get away with this." They were wrong, but I wasn't done. The next 3 weeks, I got quiet. I pulled old receipts, photographs, tax records, and documented everything I ever paid for. Furniture? Mine. Appliances? Mine. Car? Mine. Even the damn bed was on my credit card. My lawyer helped me file a civil suit for unlawful disposal of property. Those trash bags were proof enough. I claimed damages for emotional distress, the destruction of personal items, and for misuse of my property while I was incapacitated. I also contacted DSS. I had photos of Clara's kids sleeping in the basement near open electrical boxes and a heater I knew hadn't worked properly in years. I never meant to hurt those kids, but their safety mattered. DSS launched an inspection. The kids were sent to live with their father within the week. Clara lost custody temporarily. Drew's parents tried to smear me online, posted lies on Facebook. I didn't respond. I just collected screenshots. At the 30-day mark, I showed up at the house with a sheriff's deputy and a locksmith. They were gone. The place was trashed. Holes in the walls. Broken windows. The kitchen was a mess. Dog urine on the floor. They left a note on the mirror in black Sharpie. Hope it was worth it. I smiled. They thought they could ruin me and still live under my roof. They thought I'd be too weak to fight back. They forgot whose name was on the deed. After I got the house back, it took almost $5,000 to clean it up. The carpet was soaked with dog pee. Walls had drawings and crayon. The guest bathroom sink was clogged with cigarette butts. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I took pictures. I kept receipts. The hardest part was the silence. I thought once I got them out, I'd feel relief. Instead, the house felt like a ghost. Cold. Hollow. The kitchen where I used to bake banana bread every Sunday now smelled like mildew. Our bedroom, my bedroom, looked like it had been used as a daycare. Stickers on the closet door, crushed cereal in the carpet. Lena kept checking in. She offered for me to stay longer, but I had something bigger in mind. See, when I first bought the house, the land behind it was part of an old lot owned by a local church. Last year, that land was finally up for sale, and I made an offer. Quietly, through a holding company. Nobody knew it was me. I closed on the lot 2 weeks after I took back my house. It connected to the backyard. 4 acres of flat, open land. My lawyer helped me file paperwork to rezone it for short-term rentals. I put the house on the market a month later, marketed as a fixer-upper with excellent investment potential. I listed it for $80,000 more than it was worth. It sold in 6 days. That money helped me buy a small ranch home in Brevard, closer to the mountains. 1 level. Accessible. No memories. That's when Drew showed up at my new house. I was unloading groceries when I saw his car. A dented silver Mazda, tires bald, windshield cracked. He got out and stood in the driveway like he wasn't sure I'd remember him. He looked bad. Eyes sunken. Stubble on his chin. His hands shook a little. "You bought a new house?" he asked. I didn't answer. He walked up, tried to smile. "You look good. I mean healthy." I held the door open with my foot and looked at him. "Why are you here, Drew?" He rubbed the back of his neck. I lost my job, and I've been sleeping at a friend's place, but his wife's starting to get weird about it." I blinked. "So?" He looked like he'd just swallowed sand. "I was hoping we could talk. Maybe figure things out." I laughed. It surprised both of us. It was sharp and short, like a cough. "Figure out what?" I asked. "You let your family throw me out while I was still healing. You let them put my life in garbage bags. You said nothing. You didn't even look at me." I panicked, he said. "They said Clara needed help. That you'd understand." "I did understand," I said. "That's why I walked away. Now leave." He stepped closer. "You're seriously going to just toss me out like that? You tossed me out when I was on crutches." He stared at me. His lip twitched. Then, quieter, "You ruined my life." That stopped me cold. I looked him right in the eyes and said, "No, Drew. I just took back what was mine. You ruined your life." He left. But that wasn't the end. A week later, I got a letter in the mail. From Drew's lawyer. He was contesting the prenup. He claimed he signed it under stress, that he didn't understand the terms, that I had taken advantage of him. He said I coerced him into signing without legal counsel. The letter was a joke, but a dangerous one. If it went to court, I'd have to spend thousands defending what was already mine. And in small-town North Carolina, judges can be unpredictable. My lawyer, Catherine, advised me to go on the offensive. We pulled every document. Drew's debts, his bank records, his failure to contribute to mortgage or bills, his parents' involvement. We even got a statement from the nurse who discharged me, who remembered how I left the hospital alone and confused. We also found out Drew had taken out a credit card in my name while I was recovering. Over $6,000 in charges, mostly electronics, and 2 plane tickets to Vegas. That changed everything. We filed for fraud, identity theft. We attached it to the civil suit and pushed for a restraining order. Catherine said we could go after his family next for the damages to the house, which were now documented by a home inspector. I started sleeping better, but then I got a call. It was from Clara's ex-husband. He said, "I think we need to talk." His name was Joel. Quiet, polite. He said Clara had been venting on social media, blaming me for everything. Losing custody, losing the house, even Drew's situation. He said, "Clara told the kids you were a witch, that you cursed her." I almost laughed again. He asked if I'd be willing to talk to DSS. I said yes. I gave him the same pictures I'd already sent. The trash bags, the crayon on the walls, the broken heater. A week later, Clara lost her unsupervised visitation. That's when Drew's mom showed up at my new house. She banged on the door at 6:45 a.m., screaming. I didn't open it. She called me a snake, a liar, a cold-hearted bitch who broke a good man. She said I would never be part of their family again. I stood behind the curtain and watched her through the glass. And I smiled, because finally they were telling the truth. I was never part of their family, and I never would be. After Drew's mom showed up screaming at my door, I filed a no-contact order. The cops in Brevard took it seriously, especially after I showed them the video footage from my Ring camera. She didn't just scream. She kicked at the door, spit on the glass, and yelled threats loud enough for my neighbor across the street to call 911. The officer who took the report said, "You're doing the right thing. Don't let these people get a second chance." I didn't, but something still didn't sit right. I knew that family. They didn't back off that easy, especially not Clara. She was the type who could burn her own life down and blame the smoke on someone else. A week passed. Then 2. I tried to settle into my new house. Started physical therapy again. My limp had improved, but the pain lingered. The kind of pain that waits. That reminds you every night that you're not the same anymore. Then, one morning in early June, I got a call from my bank. "Hi, Miss Talbot. We noticed a large transfer request, $14,000, from your savings account into a third-party account we didn't recognize. Just wanted to verify that it was you." It was not me. I froze. I went straight to the branch. They pulled up the logs. The request came through online. My login, my password, my IP address. But I hadn't done it. I changed all my passwords, froze my accounts, filed a police report. Later that day, Catherine called. "Jordan, I need you to listen carefully. Have you recently used your laptop in a public place?" I had. A week earlier at a coffee shop in town. I remembered leaving for a few minutes to use the restroom and coming back to find nothing touched. Or so I thought. Catherine told me there'd been a new tactic lately. People installing remote access software in under 5 minutes. If they had my password and had watched me log in even once, they could mirror my screen later and steal everything. I filed a report with the sheriff's office. Took my laptop to an IT guy in Asheville. He found the software hidden in a background folder, hidden under a name called System Update _3. I asked him how long it had been running. 3 weeks, he said. Maybe more. I almost threw up. I told him, "Can you find out where it's been accessing from?" He nodded. "Give me 2 days." 2 days later, I got an email from him with the words, "IP address link to Clara Barrett, 12 Sycamore Hollow, Etowah." Clara. Again. I took it straight to Catherine. She filed a motion to include cybercrime and identity theft into our already existing fraud case. We also sent everything to DSS. But this time, Clara fought back. She hired a lawyer. Not a good one, but loud. The kind that liked to posture in court, throw around words like mental breakdown and delusions. He claimed I was obsessed with her family, that I was cyber-stalking her, that I made everything up to cover my own instability. He even brought up my time in the hospital, suggesting my medications had affected my memory. That was a mistake, because I had evidence. Dates, screenshots, video, records, medical files, financial logs, sworn witness statements. And one better, I had her ex-husband Joel, who offered to testify that Clara bragged about hacking me. Said she used a program Drew's friend helped set up. So now, Drew was back in the picture. That meant it was time to deal with him once and for all. I hadn't seen Drew in almost 3 months. But one Friday afternoon in mid-June, he showed up in court. He looked worse. Pale, underweight, eyes twitching. Catherine leaned over and whispered, "He looks like someone who just realized the ground under him is cracking." He tried to approach me after the hearing. I didn't flinch. He said, "Jordan, I didn't know about the hacking. I swear, Clara did that on her own." I said, "You signed the paperwork to give her access to my home Wi-Fi. You bought the software." His face dropped. "You don't know what she's capable of." "Neither did you," I said. "Until now." That night, he called me, left a voicemail. "You were the best thing in my life, and I let them convince me you were in the way. They needed help. I thought you'd be okay. I thought you'd bounce back. You always bounce back. But I didn't expect you to disappear. I didn't expect you to become this." I deleted the message because I wasn't the one who changed. They were. Then something I didn't expect happened. Catherine called me and said, "Are you sitting down?" I was. She said, "We got discovery back on the fraud and hacking suit. Drew's finances were pulled." I waited. She continued, "His bank statements, he was getting regular cash deposits every 2 weeks. Not paychecks, cash. And it lines up with the time your accounts were accessed." "What are you saying?" I asked. "I'm saying Drew wasn't just involved. He was paid. Clara was funneling him money to keep quiet. Or maybe to help. Either way, they were in it together." It hit me like a second car crash. Drew hadn't just watched me get pushed out of my own home. He helped plan it. He took money while I limped around a hospital room trying to learn how to stand again. I couldn't breathe for a full minute after I hung up. But once I could, I called Catherine and said, "I want to go for full criminal prosecution." She said, "We're already filing the motion." I said, "And after that?" She paused. I said, "I want the whole town to know." By July, the court filings were public. My lawyer made sure of it. Every document connected to the civil fraud case. The prenup challenge. The bank theft. The illegal software installed on my laptop. All public record now. Catherine said, "Let the truth do the talking. You've done enough staying quiet." Hendersonville isn't a big town. People talk. People remember. And people read when your ex-husband and his family are tied to fraud and theft against a woman recovering from a traumatic injury. I didn't have to lift a finger. The fallout happened fast. Clara's job at the daycare center? Gone. One of the other moms had seen the court filings and pulled her daughter out. Then another. Then the owner sat Clara down and told her not to come back. "We can't risk bad press." Clara cried and told people she was being slandered by a bitter ex-sister-in-law. But no one bought it, because screenshots don't lie. Drew's story unraveled worse. He tried to fight the charges at first. His public defender made some noise about intent and emotional duress. But it didn't hold up. Not when the transfers traced back to his devices. Not when Joel testified that Clara and Drew had joked about draining the limping lady dry. Those were his words. I remember them clearly because I nearly blacked out hearing them in court. He pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud, identity theft, and unlawful access of a protected device. He got 18 months probation, 200 hours of community service, and a permanent mark on his record. No more cushy desk jobs. No more mortgages. He moved back in with his parents. Or tried to. But things had changed there too. Drew's mom had always run her mouth. But when neighbors started whispering about the lawsuit, when Clara lost custody again, and when DSS flagged their house as inappropriate for minors, the pressure cracked the family open. She stopped going to church. His dad stopped attending town council meetings. People they'd known for 20 years crossed the street to avoid them. Clara's daughter, Kaylee, the oldest, was the one who took it the hardest. She asked her mom point blank, "Why did you take Aunt Jordan's stuff? Why'd you throw her out?" Clara blamed me, said I made it all up. Kaylee didn't believe her. One day, she found the old photos of me and her, me teaching her to tie her shoes, the two of us baking a pie at Thanksgiving. She was 5 in those photos. She was 10 now, and she remembered. She told her father she wanted nothing to do with her mom. Not until she told the truth. I heard that through Joel. He called me. "She misses you," he said. "Both kids do. You were the only adult that didn't lie to them." I didn't know what to say. I sat on that for a long time. That fall, I decided to do something for myself. I opened a support group, small, private, women only. Survivors of betrayal and coercion. Hendersonville didn't have one, so I rented a space at the local community center and printed flyers. 12 women showed up the first week. By winter, it grew to 30. We sat in a circle and told our stories. Some were worse than mine. Some were quieter, but just as deep. One woman had been married 20 years before her husband left her for her cousin and emptied their retirement fund. Another had been forced into signing over her home during chemo. I listened, and I spoke, and I healed. A year later, I was asked to speak at a local recovery conference. When I walked up to the podium with a slight limp, but no cane, I looked out at the crowd and said, I was thrown out of my home with my body still broken. And I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I just left. And that silence scared them more than anything, because they didn't know what I'd do next. But I did. I rebuilt, and I never once lowered myself to their level. I just stood back and watched them destroy each other. The room went quiet, and then they stood. Now it's been 2 years. I still live in that small ranch house in Brevard. Joel brings the kids around once a month. We go hiking, bake cookies, watch movies. I never try to replace their mother, but I show up. I tell the truth. I answer their questions honestly. Clara moved out of state. Rumor is she's trying to change her name. Drew? Last I heard, he was working construction under the table. Nobody hires felons for office work around here. He still tries to message me from time to time, emails mostly. I never read them. The house I once owned is a short-term rental now. The couple who bought it renovated the whole thing. Sometimes I pass it on the way to town. I slow down. I see people smiling on the porch, barbecuing, laughing. They don't know the history, but I do. And I smile, because I survived it, because they thought they could bury me. And all they did was hand me the shovel.